A debate in Parliament on how to better utilise Singapore's sporting resources and what defines success. Opening a 5-hour debate today, MP for Sengkang GRC Jamus Lim filed a motion for a thorough evaluation of the local sporting ecosystem. Now, the session also touched on the state of local football and the support and resources needed for athletes to excel. Sherry Look reports.
In all, Singapore devotes more than $500 million to sports each year. That's 0.5% of the country's total fiscal expenditure. But MP for Sengkang GRC Jamus Lim argues that it's not getting enough bang for its buck.
Japan spends a mere 0.02%, and yes, you heard that right, of its government budget on sport. And in Korea, the entire Ministry of Culture, Sport and Tourism comes to only 1.3% of the national budget, with sport accounting for just 0.3%. Yet these countries have performed more admirably on the international sporting stage than we have, even taking into account their larger populations.
But Senior Parliamentary Secretary for Culture, Community and Youth, Eric Chua, cautions against data mining, arguing that it's too simplistic to pin sporting success down to one predictor. He adds that Singapore's goals in high-performance sport go beyond its medal count.
Instead, we focus on the development of the sport ecosystem and support systems, a journey that may take an athlete 8 to 12 years to get athletes to the peak of their performance, to realize their full potential, often at the major games or major championships, against the best in Asia or in the world.
NMP and former Olympian Mark Che also urges patience, pointing out that it takes time to develop high performers.
They take time to mature. So we may have the facilities here, but you need to still continue to grow and groom these kids to be able to give them appropriate level competitions in order to produce results in 10 years' time.
Still, MPs call for a more effective use of funds. For instance, Leon Pereira suggests channeling more resources into lesser-known sports.
I am arguing for a more aggressive approach of using our resources to study our regional and world-class athletes in these sports, try to spark more people entering these sports, focus more of our funding dollars on such sports where we are already good, and draw more attention and interest to these sports, not only the famous ones.
He argues that having strong national champions can help stimulate audience interest in a sport, and this in turn brings in commercial participation.
The state of Singapore football took the spotlight as MPs debated on the motion. Among the proposals from both sides of the House are more robust ways to scout and groom young talent. This follows the recent SEA Games debacle by the men's team. Lauren Ong with this report.
Glories in Singapore football not seen in generations. While achievements were mostly regional, it's a past many Singaporeans cling on to. That's according to several MPs who rose to speak on the state of the sport. Leading the discussion was WP MP Faisal Manab, who pointed to the Lions' world ranking of 158.
Our recent result demonstrates that where many other countries in the region have improved, Singapore football has fallen behind.
MPs say a key reason for this is talent. That's in scouting for footballers with potential, grooming them and keeping them in the sport.
Many world-class athletes today started training in a high-performance environment from as young an age as 5. Many were handpicked while they were still learning to walk, often by their own parents. This is the nature of the international competition young athletes are up against.
It is important that we equip our coaches and scouts to do this well. Identified talents need to undergo structured training and development. They need to compete regularly and at the right levels.
There should be more equitable distribution for these lower grassroots leagues under FAS to provide a larger pool of talent for SPL clubs, as well as for our national teams. If such grassroots football leagues had even 1/5 of such resources dedicated to them, the conditions and levels of grassroots football can improve drastically.
Unlike some of our neighbouring countries, we have limited training grounds and stadiums equipped with quality football facilities. Today, as some members have already highlighted, we cannot even play football at our void decks, and many of our neighbourhoods, school football fields and parks have restricted use.
Some MPs have also called to revisit Singapore's goals in football and plans to achieve them. A key point was the aspirational target to qualify for the World Cup by 2034. Responding to these concerns and suggestions, Senior Parliamentary Secretary for Culture, Community and Youth, Eric Chua, says it requires a whole-of-society effort.
Do we want to qualify for the World Cup? Every country serious about sports will want to aspire towards that. But it is more important for us to be focused on building sustainable, long-lasting foundations to anchor our sporting aspirations, including football.
During the debate, the People's Action Party disagreed with the motion filed by opposition MP Jamus Lim. Instead, they introduced 3 amendments to the motion. They included changes to how the government evaluates areas of improvement in the local sporting ecosystem and how it defines sporting success.
The first point on inserting including before at the 32nd Southeast Asian Games and the 12th ASEAN Para Games recognizes that any celebration of accomplishments of our athletes and para-athletes goes beyond these games. The next point recognizes the continuing nature of reviews and goal setting for our high-performance sports and our sports system, regardless of any motion raised. Regular reviews of policies and goals are a key feature of our system. The final point in relation to deleting clear, achievable goals for sporting success and inserting our goals in sports. The original motion mentions as one of several objectives, and I think it really success should be measured beyond just that one particular quantitative marker.
Associate Professor Lim disagreed with the amendments.
We're also unable to support Amendment 3. This wiggles, in our view, out of one of the most important fundamentals for sporting performance, appropriately defining success. It is important to have clarity on what our goals are and ideally set up not only eventual, but also intermediate targets that we can credibly achieve. Accepting the amendment also robs us of being able to meet the sort of mass participation goals that we alluded to that are eminently achievable.
Well, this sparked an exchange between the 2 members of Parliament.
I'm not quite understanding what wiggly is supposed to mean. Could I ask clarification from Associate Professor Jamus? Or did I hear the Associate Professor wrong?
I'm happy to drop the word. I said, and this is my exact sentence, this wiggles out of one of the most important fundamentals for sporting performance. So I can rephrase this to, this avoids one of the most important fundamentals for sporting performance.
I think the point I was making was that when you use the term sporting success or success in the context of sports, very often it's easy to construe that in the context of tangible achievements via winning medals, achieving success at competitions, achieving qualification for major games. But the point that we've made, or we heard today indeed from both sides of the House, is that sporting activities, they serve multiple purposes. There are many goals that one can aspire for and aspire to reach.
In no way do I mean success to only refer to medals or even sporting success at the highest levels like qualifying for some of these international tournaments. For me, success is just being able to meet the goals that one has set.
The debate came to a close with a vote. Leader of the opposition, Pritam Singh, and several members of the opposition stood up to highlight their dissent for the amendments. The amended motion by the ruling party was eventually accepted by the House.